Do 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 do. Dun 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 dun. Astrology is now. Good rising to all of my beautiful brothers and sisters out there. This is Astro Fenixx flying into the moment yet again and radiating love as always. And welcome to the Astrology is Now podcast, episode number 6. It's funny, I actually went back and the last podcast I kept calling it This is Astrology instead of Astrology is Now. Those were the two names I was going back and forth over, so I'm not gonna trust myself to remember that consistently. So if you occasionally see a podcast that comes up that says this is astrology, this is astrology, don't catch you slipping. Not like if you see that come up in the future, just know that it's probably gonna happen. I'll try and mitigate it, but in any event, this is the Astrology is Now podcast, episode number 6. I appreciate you all joining. I know I said that I was going to start doing these on Tuesday and Friday. That is the intention. But just know that you're going to, at the very least, get 2 of these per week. And I'm going to try and space them out and not have them like in back-to-back days. Eventually, though, who knows? Maybe we'll get stuff in back-to-back days. My intention is to get this similar to how Joe Rogan does his podcast and have people on and stuff like that. Maybe half of them will be people on, half of them will just be me rambling about random shit, you know. So, but in any event, thank you all so much for joining me. And before we really hop into the content, I wanted to get a couple of things out of the way first, some housekeeping stuff. The first being is that my website, astrofenixx.com, is currently down. I have to pay for a new yearly subscription, and I haven't done so yet. And I don't know when exactly I will be able to because I have other bills that are a little bit more pressing right now. But just because my website is down does not mean that you can't purchase a reading from me. So if you would like to get a reading with yours truly, then be sure to email me, actually. I do have an email. It's info.astrofenixx@gmail.com. You can email me and we can get you set up for a reading. Or if you happen to have me on Instagram or Facebook, shoot me a message and we can do so that way as well. Because I still have all of the services there. We can go over what would be best suited for you in this current moment. So just because my website is down does not mean that I'm not doing astrology readings. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to mention is something that I noticed that happened in the last live. I love going live. I think it's a really cool way to interact with you all. I think it's fun, and I think a lot of times we're able to bounce ideas off of each other. And honestly, it's just very cool and interactive. I really love the live feature. I love the technology that we have now. But I've noticed that there have been some times, including the last podcast, where people will come on and they will start asking me if I can answer personal questions about their own chart. That's really not what the intention of this podcast is, especially for this podcast. Maybe in the future I will do a live video where I do draw cards for people. This will probably still be a paid service, so you would have to like PayPal me or Cash App me. I don't know, maybe $5, $10, and I can draw some cards for you and answer some questions that way. But the podcasts aren't really meant for that. And I want to make that clear. I want to clear the air and I want to hold space and set up the proper boundaries for what the podcast is. If I do a live podcast, I definitely welcome you all commenting and sharing your experiences and maybe ask a question about the general astrology. But when it comes down to asking questions about your personal chart, that's not what the podcast is for. So in the last video, I did answer those questions, but I just want to make that clear with this one. I was going to make this live, but I decided not to because I feel like that may potentially happen again. And I wanted to make this podcast just recorded so those who hop onto the live late and don't hear me talk about it earlier in that live and start asking personal questions, then I'm not misleading them. So I want to mitigate any type of misunderstanding by simply recording this one. So from now on, if you could please hold any type of questions about your personal chart, unless I create a live video specifically saying that I will answer questions about people's personal charts. As I've said though, this will probably still be a paid thing. So, and I'll make it inexpensive, like I said, $5 or $10 for drawing a couple of cards and answering some questions about your chart. But that will be a specific video for that. The podcast is really meant for me to channel. It's really meant for me to just get into these energies and talk about what's happening. It's not really meant for me to talk about anyone's personal charts. So if I do a podcast live in the future, if you can please hold those sort of questions in comments to yourself, I would greatly appreciate it, because it's going to ultimately kind of take away from me channeling this information, and it's going to take away from the experience of other people, because that's not what they're coming to this podcast for. They're not coming to this podcast to hear about someone else's personal life. I mean, I talk about my personal life, but they're not coming here to hear me talk about someone's personal chart. Really, they're coming here for the information. They're coming here for the astrology or the tarot or this esoteric information. So I just wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way. And to those who have been supporting me, to all of my new subscribers, I definitely greatly appreciate it. I know as of lately, I haven't really been feeling as motivated with doing YouTube videos, and I have considered looking at other platforms. I'm still going to upload to YouTube, but I just haven't really been feeling as motivated. But I think it's also because a lot of my attention is on other things right now, and specifically NaNoWriMo, which I have mentioned before. And if this is the first time if you're hearing about this, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month, where essentially it is a writing challenge that over the course of November, over the course of 30 days, the goal is to write about 50,000 words, which comes out to about 200 to 250 pages or so. And right now, I'm on track. I still need to write about 1,000 words today to stay on track. There are some days where I write heavy, like I've already had 2 days where I wrote more than 3,500 words. And apparently the average that you need to write is about 1,700 a day to stay on track. So I've had some days where I caught up and like just kind of soared past the on par mark. But yesterday I wrote a little bit. The day before I didn't write as much. And I do have to go to work soon today, so I also wanted to make sure I recorded this. It may not be as long as some of the other ones, but I still wanted to come on here. But admittedly, my attention has kind of been shifted, and I've been really focused on the writing. But this is also a whole this writing challenge is teaching me so many things. It's teaching me, is first of all giving me the confidence to write again, because I haven't really felt this inspired to write a story since I was a kid. I've had a lot of different novel ideas. I've had a lot of different plannings and outlines, and I've had a lot of novels that only made it to a chapter or two, and then I stopped. But this is the first time in a while where I feel very relaxed while writing, even though it's a writing challenge. I'm not as focused on the 50,000 word goal so much as I am just on writing consistently every day. And I think it's November 9th. I've only gone 1 day without writing. So 8 out of the last, because I'm going to write today, 8 out of the last 9 days, I have written something. I've written at least 800 or more words. And for me, that's a huge deal, because I haven't had this type of consistency doing this since I was a kid. I have not had this kind of consistency. So it's teaching me that. It is, of course, teaching me time management as well, managing this with the with my other obligations, with work, with doing stuff around the house and chores, but also my other creative projects. And, I'm not going to say that I'm passing with flying colors or anything like that. Probably have played a little bit more video games this past week than I probably should have. But, it's okay. It's all right. But it's teaching me a lot of things about myself. So for that, I am definitely super grateful. But one thing I do want to mention about this writing is that, today is November 9th, right? So we have until November 30th. That doesn't mean that when November 30th hits and I hit 50,000 words, that it doesn't mean that the story is over. I can easily see the story going 100,000 words. Even though there's a lot of fluff in it right now, and I have to go back and edit it. But I wanted to extend an opportunity to you all. When I do a lot of my writings, or as of lately, over the past couple years, I have created my character. When I was younger, let me back up. When I was younger, whenever I start a story, I start with the characters, right? I have like a basic idea of what I want the story to be about, but I like to start with the characters. And I have like these sheets of paper where I write out their name, their age, their hobbies, where they live, blah, 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 their birth date and stuff. And I realized that all of that has really prepared me for where I am now, to where I will actually create a birth chart for the characters in my story, and then it gives me this very solid and in-depth look at that character. So I am very grateful for astrology and doing this work and for having studied, because it's actually setting me up to create A, believable characters, and then B, I feel like the characters write themselves. But I wanted to open up an opportunity for you all. Would you like to have a character in my book? I've already asked one of my good friends, but I think it would be really, really cool if some of my followers and listeners and supporters were to be in my book. So I'm opening up this opportunity. Would you like me to write you into my story, or to some version of you into my story? And the way that you would do this essentially is that you would get in contact with me. You email me or private message me or something like that on either Facebook or Instagram, and you just give me maybe a random birth date and maybe tell me a few things about the character, and then I write them into the story. Would you like that? I think that would be really freaking cool. And and of course, like, if this book really makes it big, I'm obviously going to give you credit and stuff like that, because, there's that whole intellectual property kind of whatever. But I think it'd be really cool if some of my supporters and stuff like that on the channel were in my novel. So if you would like to be in my novel or have a character, and it doesn't have to be your personal birthday, you can make it if you want. Just for reference, the story begins in the year 2024. So take that into consideration if you want a character to be a certain age or whatever like that. But if you would like for me to write a character into my story based off of either your personal birthday or a birthday that you just want to come up with, but kind of come up with some cool things about that character, then be sure to shoot your boy a message, because I think that'll be really fucking dope. All right, that's out of the way. Let's talk about astrology. And what I first want to talk about in this particular episode is, what is the ultimate goal of astrology? What is the end game of astrology, right? I'm not even going to bother looking at the charts today. I pretty much know where things are. I know we had the moon in Aries. We're building up to this full moon in Taurus. But I came across a post the other day that one of my friends shared with me, and she was expressing her concerns with the spiritual community and the astrological community and stuff like that. She was expressing concerns that she feels like she's been, gypped, or that she was, taken advantage of or scammed and stuff like that, and how astrology is actually becoming a bit of a crutch. I don't entirely disagree with her, because I do feel like if you're constantly, now unless it's like an app, like, and I'm making excuses here, but unless it's like an app like High Vibe TV, and I'm not sponsored to say this, but unless it's like an app like High Vibe TV by like the Leo King and his crew, or if it's like Serious Joy by Christopher Witecki, those are two apps that I have personally used before, and they're great in-depth apps, and they're really good apps and stuff like that. But if you're constantly checking like some of these more sensationalized blurbs about astrology every single day, then I can see where there may be some concern with this, because then it does become a bit of a crutch. And sometimes we can even use astrology to substantiate certain claims or actions that we take, we have to realize that we are the stars. Okay? We are the stars. We are the planets. We are the cosmos. Which means that we're also black holes. Think about that. We are supernovas. We are all of these things. We are the asteroids. We are all these things. And for me, when it comes to astrology and doing readings for people, and I plan on doing this for a while, but I actually don't plan on doing readings forever. Why? Because I feel like that my personal end goal with astrology is to help people obtain a basic to even intermediate understanding of astrology to where they don't need me anymore. And that's kind of crazy because it's like if this is something that I want to become, my way of living and stuff like that, or something I make money off of, why would I want to? I mean, and this just goes counter to the capitalistic society that we live in. Why would I want to help someone to the degree to where they don't really need me anymore? I should want them to keep coming back to me, right? But that is faulty when it comes to astrology, because I don't think it's something that ultimately we're supposed to make into like this $1 trillion industry, even though it's going to become a $1 billion industry over the next 5 years. Like, just watch in the next 5 to 10 years. You're going to see it. You're going to see a lot of frauds pop up. People that think that they can really read a chart. People that start now there are prodigies. Someone who could probably look at a chart and like in 6 months they know how to do an advanced level reading. They're out there. But then you also have people that are going to see that it's getting popular, and they're going to try and hop on the gravy train. And then they're going to start deluding people, and they're going to have it to where people are constantly coming back to them for years on end. And that's not what the goal is. My goal is to get to the point where I can meet a random person on the street and I can know their moon rising and sun sign. I can't really do that now. Now, I have come across it more and more. It's becoming slightly more frequent. But I want everyone to have a basic to intermediate level understanding of astrology. There are always going to be astrologers out there that are advanced level, that are constantly looking at this, and are doing this for the rest of their life. I'm going to be looking at this for the rest of my life. I'm going to be studying it for the rest of my life, whether I'm giving readings, like paid readings or not. I'm going to be looking at this and studying it for the rest of my life because I love astrology. I think it's really cool. I think it's a fantastic tool, and I think it actually helps to spur my creativity. When I was younger, I mentioned this before in videos, one of my first goals was to be an astronaut, and lo and behold, I'm an astronaut. I am an astronaut through and through. But you're going to see over the next 5 years a lot of people that are going to come into this community and are wanting to just hop on the gravy train. The same thing is happening with cannabis and marijuana right now. The same thing is happening with veganism right now. The same thing is happening with a lot of these things where a group that didn't have as much representation starts to get a little bit of traction, and then suddenly when that group gets some traction, here comes the sharks. Here comes the sharks that are just trying to hop on the gravy train, or I guess in their case the blood train, and then they're just out to try and gobble up as much as they can. And that is an issue, because it's almost like, if say it's like I'm a doctor or I'm someone who's trying to heal somebody, right? If they keep coming back to me, I'm not doing my job right. I'm not doing my job because they keep coming back to me consistently. They come back a few times, sure, but they keep coming back to me, I'm not doing my job right. I want to get it to the point when I'm doing an astrology, say if I do a reading for someone and maybe they do work with me for a few months, right? That's cool. Sometimes it takes 3 to 6 months for real true change to occur. That's cool. But I want to get it to the point where years down the road, if we come and talk, we can swap readings. We can swap readings. Or we're just talking and chatting about this sort of stuff, but not necessarily them asking me these very these personal questions about their own chart, whatever like that, and I can clearly see that they are confused and are in the dark and are lost about it. I want them to have at least a basic to intermediate understanding of what's going on. So if I am an astrologer and I provide a reading for someone and they're still coming back to me for years and years on end, I'm not doing my job. I'm not giving a powerful enough reading. But I feel like you're going to see over the next 5 years, people are going to purposefully make the potent information that's really going to change someone's life through astrology or using the tool of astrology. They're going to make that information rare. It's going to be like, you almost have to purchase packages to upgrade, you know. And of course, I have different kinds of readings. I have 30-minute readings and like hour readings and lunar reports and solar reports and stuff like that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with necessarily splitting it up in different services like that. And, based off of what people want, I can, provide for them what they need. But if someone was like coming to me like every month for like 5 years, and it's like I'm just trying to, and they're just problem after problem after problem arises, and they're asking a lot of the same questions, I'm not doing a good job as an astrologer. I'm not delivering a potent enough message. But what you're going to see is that people are going to come into the community and are going to do just that. They're going to do just that. And that is actually going to be more harmful than it is good, because it's just going to be like a pill. It's going to be like a pill. It's going to be like a high, where people are going to come off the astrology high. They're going to come off the high of having a reading, and then they're going to have to get their fix again. And that's not something I want to see. That's not something I want to see. So I understand her concern and stuff like that, but at the same time, I don't want there to be a sort of spiritual censorship, because that's what we're seeing. We're seeing censorship. We are seeing censorship not just in the spiritual community, but everywhere. God damn, it is everywhere right now. It is crazy, the pandering that there is to certain people. And I'm not trying to call out any particular marginalized group. I'm really not. But at some point, there has to be a level of personal responsibility and the ceasing of finger pointing. Okay? I think we can acknowledge that there have been certain groups of people that have overall benefited more than other people in the society that we have created. I think people forget that we can actually change society, though. I think people think that things are just the way they are, and that's always the way it's going to be, because that's always the way it's been. But we can easily, I say easily too. I didn't say it wasn't going to, I almost want to say effortlessly, because I don't necessarily say easy, because it will be difficult. But we can effortlessly alter the course of our society. We can do it effortlessly. That doesn't necessarily mean it will be easy, or it won't be difficult, but we can effortlessly change it. So those are my concerns, is people coming into the community that are going to, and I'm not going to attack this thing right here, this idea, but I'm going to address my concerns with it. This whole thing about life coaching and how life coaching is now like $1 billion industry. My issue with it is that life is already a coach. Life is already a coach. Experience is already a coach. I don't have an issue with people trying to help others with their mental health, their physical health. If they somehow intertwine that sort of stuff into their services, great. But if essentially all you are is a motivational speaker, and then you have I guess a business around motivational speaking, it's cool to, do TED Talks and go up on these things and talk about different things. But a lot of these life coaches, and some of them may even use astrology or oracles or tarot, whatever. A lot of these life coaches don't really even have the experience to back up what they're saying. They're just hearing what other people are saying that probably actually went through those things, and they're regurgitating it and rehashing it to fit their narrative and to fit their motive. And that's not right. But guys, you're going to see more of this over the next 5 years. I think I mentioned this in one of my videos, how over the next 5 years, we are going to be going through a sort of mini dark age. Before Pluto officially comes into Aquarius, Saturn will be in Pisces, and then Neptune, once it reaches Aries, that's really when the light's going to come again. But we are going to go through like this sort of mini dark age. And in this mini dark age, you're going to see a lot of people, you're going to see more scams, you're going to see more fakes, but you're also going to see more people who are authentic. You're going to see more people who are coming out and are really about this life and are really doing this thing and doing it for the right reasons, not doing it just to gain a buck. If I become a millionaire doing this, that will be an amazing blessing. But if I don't, but I help 5 people really change their life with a reading of mine, that means so much more. Because if I could help 5 people, you know, those 5 people can go on and do something or influence other people that can really change the world. And for me, that's worth a lot more than $1 million. And maybe I'm crazy for saying that. I'm a North Node in Capricorn in the 2nd house, okay, guys? So there's a big part of my mission here to establish some type of material security. Like, there really is, and to manifest some sort of success, you know, whether it's materially or socially and stuff like that. But my 2nd house is also getting pounded right now. With the South Node and Saturn and Pluto here, it's getting pounded right now. But it's okay. It's a learning lesson. This is why I'm really happy that Jupiter's going to be coming into Capricorn. I'm so excited for Jupiter to come into Capricorn. I know Jupiter's at home in Sag, but I'm really excited for Jupiter to come into Capricorn. But for me, it does mean a lot more to where if I can change just one person's life with an astrology reading, and that person goes out and they apply it. And I always tell people, I'm only telling you stuff that your spirit already knows. I'm telling you stuff that your spirit already knows. That's why when I'm going to give a reading, I'm going to go all in. I usually go over the limit. If I have like a 30-minute reading with someone, it's going to be 45 minutes to an hour. If I do an hour reading with someone, it's going to go over that amount. Because I get so excited and I want to share. I want to share everything with that person. I don't want to hide anything. I want to share with that person. I want to share and tell them what their gifts are. I want to tell them, you know, what their gifts are, what their challenges are, how they can overcome them. I want to share with them their superpowers. It reminds them, like, hey, you forgot that you had the superpower, but your spirit knows. Even if I tell someone something that they may not necessarily get at the start, the fact that they're exposed to it, their spirit jumps for joy. And then that what I tell them, it will become like a seed in their subconscious, and it will come back up. There's no doubt about it. It will come back up. And that's what it is. That's why I do this work, because I do really want to help people, of course, but I want to, you know, invigorate people to remember why they came here, who they are, and just how amazing they are. You got to think about it. It's like, we look out in the world and there's a lot of abundance and stuff like that, but we can also get caught up. We can just feel like the number, you know, in the crowd. We can just feel like a cog in the machine. But here's the cool thing, okay? Out of all of those sperm that made it to the egg, you made it to the egg. Out of all of them. And yes, you come here like, oh crap, I'm just one of several billion people on the earth. But you made it to the egg. Just as every animal and creature that's here. You made it to the egg. That's incredible. That should be celebrated. And yes, some people do get a crappy hand in life. Some people get a hand that sucks. Some people get a hand and they're like, oh fuck, I got the 10 of Swords. I got the 7 of Swords. I got the 8 of Cups. The 8 of Cups is not really a bad card. I got the Devil. Devil's not really a bad card. But they'll get cards like this. I got the Tower. Someone else might get the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician. You know? That doesn't necessarily mean that the person who gets those cards in their hand, I'm using tarot, by the way, I'm not using regular playing cards, but it doesn't mean that someone who gets the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune is automatically going to manifest billions of dollars. It doesn't work that way. It might mean that, you know, Wheel of Fortune, you got to think about the show Wheel of Fortune. Sometimes you spin it and you hit bankrupt. Sometimes you spin that wheel and you hit bankrupt. Sometimes you do hit the jackpot. Sometimes you get somewhere in between. That's okay. You know, we all have a different set of cards that we're bringing to the table. We all have our own experiences and our personal journey. But our spirit jumps for joy at the opportunity to grow. But then we don't. So it's like, it's crazy. We resist growth. And I get it, because there are such things, growing pains, and it can hurt, right? But it's like, I just got this image right here, right? Where it's like, think of like, a lot of times, metaphorically, people like to think of like rain clouds and storms as bad times in our life, right? They don't necessarily have to mean that, because they bring moisture, they allow things to grow as well. But a lot of times, what happens is that as we progress on this journey, especially the spiritual journey, and you're awakening, you'll notice that the storms do get larger and larger, but you are also more equipped to handle them. So it's like, if we hide from the storm, we don't give ourselves the opportunity, we don't trust ourselves to grow past them. I literally got the image of this tree where there's like storm clouds over it, and it grows through the storm clouds, and then the sun is there. It grows literally through the storm clouds, and now the storm is about like somewhere at the midsection, which honestly is kind of what's happening. Let's be real. This is like a deep channel right here, but it's like a lot of the storm in our life is happening in our midsection, somewhere between our heart chakra and our solar plexus. So if you think of us as a tree, like the top half of us is above the clouds. That's why it seems so weird how we can channel this kind of information, how things can seem very dreamy, but then there's a bottom half of us that's like underneath the cloud. And that's why that's kind of this whole thing with the third dimension, is that we have to figure out these seemingly heavier energies, but they do serve a purpose. The root chakras, the solar plexuses, the sacral chakras of the world, these energies, these type of themes, thematics, ideologies, whatever you want to call it, vibrations. They do serve a purpose, right? But it's almost like we want to hide away from the storm. We don't want to grow. But the truth is that each and every one of us, our head and our upper chakras are actually above the storm clouds. So we have like this bottom half. It almost feels like we're cut in half. It's kind of weird. And I don't even know where this came from, guys. I was just channeling, honestly. I was just going in. But I think really what I'm trying to get across, and really what they want me to tell you, is that, you made it, you're here, you have an opportunity, an incredible opportunity, and it really, it will behoove you not to waste that opportunity. And people waste opportunities. I've wasted opportunities. It's going to happen, but it's a learning game. So it's like life itself is the best coach. I don't think you necessarily need to go to a particular person unless they have like a degree, maybe in like psychology, or maybe even like a nutritionist degree or something like that. If they have something to back it up, cool. But you're going to see over the next 5 years, a lot of people who are going to become quote unquote life coaches. It may even be certified through some sort of life coaching program, but it's void of this ability to really help someone to grow and be their own coach. We gotta be our own coach. We gotta kick our own ass, as my dad has been saying lately. You gotta kick your own ass, And this happens to me, especially if you're on this journey. I don't know about you, but my guides, they are my best friends, but damn it, they are savage. It's not all rainbows and sunshine and it's like, oh, you're fine, we got you, you're comfortable, you can do anything. It's not always like that. Especially if I'm working out, my guys will come in, it's like, all right, you can get a few more. All right, you did that, all right, you can do a few more. All right, you got that, cool, you can do a few more. Especially like when I'm running, one of my guides, like they'll come in, and it's one particular guide that really does this a lot. And she'll come in and she'll be like, I'll be running. It's like, all right, cool. So you're going to add this little bit to your run. You're going to add that little bit to your run. And I'm sitting here moaning and shit. Like the last time I did it, they're like, you're going to go for another lap. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll go for another lap. And then by the time I got a quarter of the way through, I just kept running. By the time I got halfway through, I was tired and I wanted desperately to stop running. She came on. She was like, you're already halfway through the second lap. You might as well finish it. Even if you slow down, you might as well finish it. I had a quarter of the way left to go. And it's like, you might as well finish strong. You got to kick your own ass. You got to coach yourself. I think people need to develop that ability to coach themselves. They don't necessarily need someone. I think it's good for us to collaborate and help each other and to promote each other, promote each other's growth and everything like that. I'm not saying that we can't do that, but there is this lack I notice within the community, within the world, that people they feel like they can't coach themselves. They feel like they can't get themselves to do something or to be better. Like they need outside, they need external influence. But everything that you need is within you. You don't need me, really. It's fun if we collaborate and communicate, because we still need each other, right? We still need each other. That's air. That's Gemini. That's Libra. That's Aquarius. We still need each other. Even Capricorn. We still need each other, because you can't really be successful monetarily unless someone gives you the money because they see the value in your service. We still need each other. Scorpio, perfect example. Intimacy, this deep connection. Why do you think it's the second house to Libra? Because in partnerships and relationships, we value that deep trust and that intimacy. We need each other. But as far as like knowing your path, your journey, your destiny, and becoming your greatest version, everything that you need is within you. And I feel like astrology is one of the best ways to know that. I feel like it's one of the best tools. I just, of course, don't want to see it used in a way that is just like a pill or a high that someone's trying to chase, you know? Even I don't necessarily look at astrology charts every day. I know generally where everything is, but even I'm like, I'm not sitting here watching like 10 astrology videos by some of my favorite astrologers on YouTube or Instagram every day. I don't do that. Part of the reason is because I want to have my own understanding of it and put out my own stuff, and then I'll go back and watch it. But I'm not watching their stuff every day. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them probably can say the same thing. And it's not out of disrespect at all. If anything, it's out of more respect. It's sort of like, I acknowledge how incredible these people are, what they do and stuff like that. But I also don't necessarily feel the need to watch their stuff every single day. And maybe it's because I do have a basic to intermediate understanding of astrology and stuff. But sometimes, yeah, I will go and watch their stuff, and I'm like, wow, I never really thought about it like that. But I watch it when I'm ready. That's where I want people to get to. Watch when you're ready. Watch when you need it. Not just some sort of pill that you have to take or some sort of high that you have to get. And I see this coming up. And I will say the word fear. I have a fear. And it's not a huge fear, whatever like that. I'm not going to let it take over me. I'm not going to let it change who I am and alter what I do and, cause me to be inauthentic. But there is a fear that I see. This community is going to shift a lot in the next 5 years. You're going to see a lot of frauds. And a lot of people are going to get called out. But at the same time, you're going to see a lot of really authentic people and beings that are really here to help, and that I believe are on the train of this end goal astrology, where we don't necessarily, like, you probably will still have some chief astrologers and stuff like that. Society's always had that, but people will know all of their placements. People will know where their sun through Pluto, they will know what house they're in, what sign they're in, and probably even the degree. They will know what that is. They will know. And I think that's cool because I think that will give us a that much more in depth and more connectedness to each other, because then we'll realize that we're all one. Like, yeah, my sun is in Scorpio, but that doesn't necessarily make me a Scorpio. I am a representative of the Scorpio energy when it comes to the solar energy. My moon is in Pisces, right? So when it comes to that lunar energy, I'm a representative. I represent the expression of the lunar energy through the sign of Pisces, through that space, through that location, through that energy. But that doesn't necessarily make me a Scorpio or a Pisces. I have all of the energies. Even if you don't have a planet in a certain sign, doesn't mean that it doesn't get transited, doesn't mean that it doesn't get aspected, and more than likely you do have something there. It's probably just a minor asteroid that you don't really think about. But sometimes these minor asteroids and stuff like that, they come up in a huge way. Of course, we want to focus on the sun, the moon, the Mars, the Venuses, the Jupiters, the Saturns. Of course, we want to focus on that. But there's so much more to this than meets the eye. And that's why you're going to have people such as myself and others who are really into this stuff that are probably going to study for the rest of their life. We will always be around, to provide our interpretations on these things. Because not everyone's going to care about where their asteroid Pandora is in their chart, or where their Pallas Athena is in their chart. Not everyone's going to be thinking about, oh, the asteroid Icarus, where is that in my chart? Not everyone's going to be thinking about that sort of stuff. I love that stuff because it provides that much more detail into, what's going on here. And it's interesting because, like, it can seem like it gives more definition, which ultimately constricts, but at the same time, I find it very freeing as well, because then it's like, oh, I didn't know I had that. That's cool. I'm not always thinking about it and stuff. I'm not always thinking about it. I just think it's very cool. But it also shows how we're all connected. And I think that is really amazing. So I'm going to can this episode right here. I hope that you all enjoyed it. I'm going to continue about my day. I got about an hour and a half before I have to leave for work, and I'm going to spend that time doing some writing. But I hope that you all enjoy this, and I will definitely be seeing you all on the next podcast. We do have a full moon in Taurus coming up, so I will be making a video about that. It's going to be exciting. And the month of November is rolling on, and I am excited. We are finally less than a week away from the new Pokemon games. This doesn't have nothing to do with astrology, but I don't give a fuck. We are less than a week away from the new Pokemon games, and we are about a week away from my birthday. My birthday is going to be next Sunday, November the 17th. Mark it on your calendars. I may actually do a live that day. I don't know. But if I do a live, it'll probably be later in the day. But in any event, I'm excited. Happy birthday to all of my fellow Scorpios out there. And I will see you all on the next podcast. And I will go ahead and include this in, because why not? Thank you so much for all your lovely support. And as always, my beautiful brothers and sisters, always remember to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often. Ah. But this is the outro for the Astrology Is Now podcast, hosted by yours truly, Astro Fenixx. I appreciate you all sharing this time and space with me, and I trust that this message resonates with you, and I trust that you have a beautiful rest of your day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Now go out there and be that badass spiritual being that you are and always have been and always will be. Peace!